Hey everyone, what is the crack? We're in Misano this week, and this is a super tricky track. There are loads and loads of relatively simple corners in their own right, but putting them all together is a completely different story. There are lots of long straights in between them, so I think you have too much time to think here. The format of this track guide, for those of you who haven't seen it before, is I take my fastest lap, I play it once fully, full speed, and try to commentate over it. The next section then I break it down turn by turn, show you exactly where my breaking points are, what I think is important, all that kind of stuff. And then in the third section, we simply talk about Racecraft, where's important on this track, and a little bit of setup. So I always start off my track guides by saying that the last corner is the most important corner when you're about to do a hot lap. I actually mess up my last corner here, and you'll see that. So here we go. So I actually went onto the gravel here, or onto the dirt. I would have been carrying a lot more speed here on the straight, but this is my fastest lap, so it counts. So you brake just before the 50 sign on the left, get nice and tight here, carry lots and lots of speed through here, and you want to be absolutely flat out here. So setup is quite important there. You want to, just before the 50 mark here, so around the 75, you want to scrub loads and loads of speed down to the second, short shift into third, get way out to the right. Probably could have done better there. You see me hesitate on the throttle. It's a super tricky section, but it went okay there. So here around the 75 mark, hard on the brakes. I could have been in tighter here, but it's such a bumpy surface, it's very, very hard to tell there. The middle of the road does seem to have the most grip. So aim for that apex here, brake and go nice and wide. Second gear, embrace the understeer a little bit here, and absolutely gun it up the effectively the back straight, even though there are a couple of kinks in it, but you've got a flat out kink here coming to the right. And for the next one here, you don't want to go in close to the apex, you want to stay out wide. You want to switch down one gear. I probably cut a little bit too much there. Brake down to second gear. Don't over rotate there like I did. Up into fourth gear, and the last corner, keep it in fourth. Very unintuitive, but fourth seems a lot quicker there for me. So that was a 125.399. It's currently a server best. So let's break that down corner by corner. So this again was the lap before my fastest lap. So completely messed up that corner. You see I went way over. I cut it too fine, went way too wide. Didn't lose a hell of a lot of time, so maybe that's worth noting. But you are definitely faster if you don't do that. So keep an eye out for these signs on the left. So there's a 100 marker here, 50 marker up here. You can see around about the it's probably the 75, it's probably closer to the 65, where I brake short and sharp, heavy braking, and I catch a little bit of this curb on the right hand side. Keep one tire on the tarmac. But it sets you up nicely because you're over on the right hand side here. So I actually just slightly trail brake here. I probably, usually when I do this corner, I don't even brake. You just coast over this. You don't want to catch too much of that curb. I'm sure that you could actually catch more of that curb and get a better line here. But and in an ideal world, depending on your setup, depending on your aero settings, you might want to be out slightly wider than I am here. But you can see from the moment I pin the throttle here, I stay on the throttle, I don't come off that throttle. So the setup is pretty good. Again, 100 marker on the left hand side. Brake around the 75 is probably the 80. Right down to second gear. Now you can run off there, but it's just very difficult to pull off. So this is a very safe line. Catch a good bit of this curb. Go out here, stay off that runoff. Now, this is a very important part, and I'm not doing it ideally here, but this is my fastest lap, so it has to count. Ideally, I would be way more over to the right here. You see, I'm still being forced to the center of the track. I want to be over here, really, and you want to pick your turn-in point, and you want to just cut over that apex as much as you can. I'm actually understeering coming out of here, and you see I'm not even on full throttle here. You should be on full throttle you should be positioned over on the right, on full throttle the whole way around here. Why am I not showing you that? Because it's super difficult to link a whole lap together here, to get it, get a proper lap together. So I'm showing you my fastest lap. I don't have a hell of a lot of time to practice. I'm sure I could get it perfect, but just don't have the time. So flat out up the straight here, up rettilineo opposito, or opposto. Now 100 marker on the right, down Querzia. I'm going to stop trying to pronounce these. And at around the 80 mark, you want to brake hard, third gear. You probably actually brake earlier than that, because you see I'm a little bit wide in the corner here. So maybe slightly earlier braking, but the inside is super bumpy. So find the line that suits you in your setup here. And see, there's a little bit of a wobble coming out of the corner. You can see my throttle input, not ideal. So stay nice and wide to the left here. Go for this apex. You're still on full throttle, and only just before that apex, you want to come off the throttle on the brake, down to second gear, and just embrace this corner on the right hand side. Do not get up on that curb. If you get up on that curb, you're toast. This is the start of the most important straight, and I'll cover in the Racecraft section in a while. This is a super important straight. That exit, practice it. Practice. Even if you're on a shite lap, practice it. Now, coming up to this kink, you want to be out on the left. So you see, I'm not in here cutting the corner. I'm out nice and wide. The reason being, there's a corner up here that you really want to get a bit of a cut. Now I do get a bit of a generous cut here. It was still illegal, and I wasn't penalized for it. But I probably turned in slightly early, and I would have suffered slightly on the way out of the corner. But nice and fast here. I only go down to 5th. I was practicing it in 4th first, but 4th wasn't ideal. Now, those of you who are really kind of clever with track limits and that, I could have been way over to the left here and maybe gotten a better run. So do try that. As I say, I haven't done a hell of a lot of practice here. This is not the most ideal line. I'm a little bit over the line. Very, very hard to get it right here. And hard on the brakes. And this is a second gear corner. You want to be close into this apex. If you're not close in there, you're going to lose a hell of a lot of time. It's very slippy out there, and it's just not a nice place to be. Again, wobble coming out of the corner here. You'll see here, this is actually a very committed throttle part of the track. So I'm in 3rd gear. I come off the throttle slightly, but I'm in 4th gear. You see my throttle inputs on the left? They're actually quite high. And then get right out to this curb, and as soon as that white line starts on the right hand side, you want to brake in 4th gear and just coast it over that curb. And as soon as you're off that curb, grab that little bit of camber. There's a tiny little bit of camber in the road, and it's actually slightly uphill here, so you want to get your power down there, because that's when the most weight is on the back wheels, and you want to get out. You don't want to start powering out just over here. You don't want to start powering out here, because the back is a little bit lighter. And that's it. As for Racecraft, on this track, it's super wide. People are going to catch your draft. Make sure you force them into the difficult line. So you've got your racing line, stick to that racing line. If that racing line means that you're slightly wide and they can sneak up inside you, do stay a little bit shallow, but beware that if you don't get your lines right, especially in first section, they're going to absolutely obliterate you. So sometimes maybe just be prepared to race with someone, but do practice going off your lines if you're prepared to do that. If you're not prepared to battle with someone and they've got the better of you, if they've got the inside, let them go, catch them on the straight, stick with them. That would be my main kind of bit of advice here. As for what else? Yeah, the back straight, super important, coming out of that 3rd gear corner. So let's find it here. Yeah, coming out of this corner here. So the temptation for people when they're battling with you is they're going to go in nice and shallow here. You're going to have to be prepared for that. Don't take this line if there's someone really aggressive and fast behind you, because they could be forced into a mistake and they could collect you with them. So just be very, very careful with that. You do want a great exit here. If somebody does get up on your inside and they're up beside you, stay wider, slow down slightly more. And as soon as they're actually in the corner, so as soon as they're here just to the right of the car, tuck in behind them. it is a slower line in general, but because you tuck in behind them quite early, you're going to grab their slipstream and you can just eclipse them again on the straight. So don't be afraid to concede position there, because you will get it back if you play that corner right, and without risking both of your races. So yeah, that's about it for me. Setup wise, I'm actually using Andy Hendry's setup, so I'm not at liberty to share that right now, even though I think he did share it publicly. I'll see if I can. If there's a setup link below, then I will have permission to share that setup. Other than that, yeah, server best time. We're leading the championship, so this is a pretty surreal place to be. And I will catch you Tuesday at 8 o'clock on my live stream. Thanks a million. Chat to you all later.